Alrighty, what is up everybody and welcome back to Gunsmith. As always, I am Door, and today we are going to go ahead and maybe open up a ammunition factory. Actually, maybe not. Let's go ahead and research some more stuff. I've been researching as much as I can. We don't have enough money for that one. We don't really need the heating and cooling stuff just yet until we start getting into the other stuff. One thing I did notice is, like I thought it was gonna happen. They're not gonna be able to repair a lot of this stuff. One thing I totally forgot about was these things, these recycle bins. So you basically can put these here. Let's say, or that's like pretty much the end of the line. Let's say I wanted to put them here, from the cutting machine to just drop the raw pair of pants into a thing, and then somewhere else I can set up a dispenser feeding into these machines that would make the final product of the pants. I could then do that so I wouldn't need these long lines of machines, so I can kind of break things up. Really quickly here, give me one moment. I'm going to show you in my creative world. Okay, so we're over here in my sandbox world, my creative world, if you have it. So this is what I'm talking about. So this is a glove line. And so I have fabric coming out of here, going into a 3 separator, into 3 cutters. Those 3 cutters dump into recycle bins. And the same thing is here for the plastics. So then every other one is fabric glove. So that's a fabric glove, that's a fabric glove, so on. And the second ones are all plastic fittings. There's probably a more efficient way of doing this, in terms of how fast these things spit out, because they spit out a half a sec every 0.5 seconds. But these things also craft every 0.5 seconds, so I figured a 1-to-1 per merger would be more than sufficient. It's not really building up that much of a backlog. Some of them have more than others. I don't know why. I didn't have these things running before I set this up, so I don't know why. Like this one has 280, and the other ones have 40, and some of them have 10. So that's kind of odd. But anyways, so I have that set up, and then I have staircases in between, so the workers can get to these ones. They can get to all these through the backs of them. They can squeeze in between here and get to these things as they need to. I went ahead and put a gap here. I noticed they need like a 1 tile wide area to get in between stuff, but I don't know if they can fix stuff like that because this stuff's been broken for a little while, and my workers aren't really coming over here to fix stuff, so I don't know what they're doing. But with this setup, we are churning out the gloves. As you can see here, I had one boxer, and that was just too much. The box would fill up instantly. I had a backlog of like 80 boxes before it would spit any out, and it spits them out every 5 seconds, maybe 4 seconds. So it was too much for one box to handle. So I split it into 2 boxes. That's more than enough. They fill up pretty good. I had this thing running for maybe 10 minutes. And we are up to, let's see if we have any gloves up here. We have 20,000 gloves right now. That's not all this thing, though. I did have another one. I was trying to space out a whole factory with enough spacing so workers can get in between, and I wouldn't have to worry about having to deal with it with my own little repair tool thingy. But I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to tear down my current garment factory, glove factory, whatever you want to call it, the clothing line that I just set up the other day, and that little montage thing. I don't know what it's called anymore. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna set this up for the gloves, and then I'm gonna set something similar up for everything else. This thing's running into issues, and I don't know why. This is also just a creative world, if I didn't say that already. So I'm not too worried about a lot of stuff going on here, but I'm just going to hire a bunch of workers and see why they're not fixing this stuff. So anyways, let me go ahead and I'm not going to do another montage of me setting this stuff up because I broke my computer the other day doing that. Not the montage, but the recording, because it was so long and Audacity just crapped out and I almost lost everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and set everything up, and I'll see you in just a moment. Alrighty, and we are back. So the entire factory is built up. We'll go ahead and go through it all really quickly here, though. All the way it's all set up is in a way so that mechanics can get in between everything. I didn't want to have to deal with scaffolding too much. I did have to put it here because the boxing machine's connected, or the boxing machine ramp's connected, and there was really no way for me to avoid doing that in the tight space that we had to work with here. So let's go ahead and jump right into my layout here. So my setup is as efficient as I can get it. I tried multiple different layouts for certain pretty much for all these machines. I tried different layouts. I tried different splits into other splits to add the timing to them and to get things the way they needed to get to be not building up material in the machines themselves. It didn't really work out for a lot of things, so a lot of things are simple and still they don't really build up. There are a couple that do, like the end of line stuff, but for the most part, the making of the raw materials don't do that. So let's go ahead and jump into it here. So right here on the top, we have 5 dispensers. All 5 of these are dispensing plastic into a heater, into a triple split. Those triple splits are then being fed into 3 plastic formers that are then making the plastic fittings. With these things the way they are, they get 5 of these, and by the time they hit 0, they get another plastic block in. So we rarely ever stay at 0 for very long, and there it ticks over again. So that's pretty quick. It keeps up pretty well. I don't have any issues here. And then we jump on down to here. I'll go ahead, get this out of the way as well. I'll list all the machines that I have, like number-wise. I have it all broken down. I just don't have the piece of paper with me at the moment. But I'll list everything down, and then I'll put the pricing that's attributed to that in a normal factory, because that's what I built it in to begin with. I didn't keep track of it here when I built it here. But yeah, I'll go ahead and do that, and then the output of the material they do every 5 minutes. So I know right off the bat here, I think these guys produce like 8,000 or something like that, 5,000, 8,000 plastic fittings every 5 minutes. I then took that and built the rest of the factory off of that. So I have 1,833 and some change for each individual recipe that requires plastic fittings. So that's how I went about doing that. So that number I know off the top of my head, because I had to divide so many things into it to try and figure out what the heck I needed to set up. So anyways, so that is the plastic fitting line. All 5 of those guys up there. And then we jump on over to these guys right here. These 6 dispensers all dispense plastic fittings into heaters that get split into 2 more plastic formers on each one. So we have 12 formers in total here, making boot soles. And those guys produce boot soles. Over here we have our soloed out little glove cutter machine, fabric into a splitter, into conveyors that go into these guys. Those conveyors are pretty much just for timing, and distance wise, like you can't really, I don't think you can get this one any tighter to this thing. I don't think, maybe you could, but I did it that way because of the timing that the conveyors delayed them. It worked out. So then over here we have, from this dispenser up here in the top right, all the way down to here and over, these guys are all dispensing fabric that are then being split into 2 cutters. Those 2 cutters are then turning those things into the boot, the raw boot itself. So then those guys all get everything, the whole setup here is also going into recycling bins. That is purely for ease of production. Having to make all these things and then feed them into the end of line units without having just a buildup of crazy amounts of stuff like spilling over off conveyor belts and stuff. I figured just do it this way. It saves the headache of having stuff build up on the floor and losing, or not losing, but killing your frame rate. I've had that happen a few times with conveyors being placed the wrong way and just not noticing it until my frame rate dropped to like 30, and I was like, okay. All right. Anyways, so now we move on over here. We have 3 rows of 18 a piece. They're all dispensing fabric. They're all being cut. These 2 rows right here, this 18 is making pants. This 18 here in the center is making chest pieces. And then the line on the right is making backpacks. So they're all pretty much the same thing. They're all fabric setups. They're all just feeding fabric into them and spitting them out just as fast as it's getting fabric. They're all also feeding into the recycle bins. And then that is pretty much the end of all of the raw product requirements, I think, right? So it's all these guys are making pants, chest pieces, and backpacks. These guys are making the boots. These guys are making the raw gloves themselves, and then these guys are making the plastic fittings and the plastic boot soles. So that is all the material you need to make the things. And then over here we have our glove line. So we have gloves and plastic being dispensed into mergers. Those mergers are going out into sewing units, and the end of line unit goes into there, and we get a box every couple seconds here because we have so many gloves being made. This is not, I don't think this is the most optimal setup, or all of what I have laid out are the most optimal ways I could make it do what I needed it to do. But off the top of my head, I don't remember the output number of this. I think I can make 1,833 gloves is the base number of everything I can make, but I don't know if I have all the setup I need. I know I need more room, so I might be opening up another factory just to put in the extra the extra end of line units that I need to make to utilize all my material that I'm making every 5 minutes. It's just a matter of whether or not I have that. I have to go back and look at my paperwork and stuff because I timed all this out and I wrote everything down. It was really a nuisance. So the gloves go in there, they come out, and then over here we have we have pants. We have 4 end-of-line unit pants being made. These ones are also 3 dispenser units spitting out pants. They go into double sewers, into double zippers, into the end-of-line unit. This took a little wiggling with conveyors to not have it just build up like crazy here. That's the only reason there's an extra extension here. The little half extension going into the thing, because if I move it back one, it builds up too much and stuff starts spilling off the side. So I just moved it up one. It fixed its issue. Every now and again, I don't know if I fixed it or not, but every now and again there were just some pants just going down the end of the line because they're just getting forced through the thing there. I don't remember if I fixed that or not. So yeah, then we move down even further. And now these 2 groupings here, the ones on the outside output fabric vests into zippers, and then the center one, it outputs the plastic fittings that are needed for the vest output. And those all go into mergers. Those mergers all go into, why is there plastic fittings on the floor? Those mergers go into the bins as well. So the end product basically is in our storage system. And so that's the plastic, or not the plastic, sorry, the vest end of line unit there. So these guys are the ones that I kind of have a little bit of an issue with. I either have a massive amount of fabric vest buildup, or I have not super crazy amount of plastic fitting buildup. It's hovering around 20 to 30. I'm kind of okay with that. I kind of wish I can get it to where it's getting the two it needs every 2 seconds that it's making. But I tried multiple layouts, different splits and stuff, feeding into boxes and stuff, or the recycle bin. I just could not get it to a point where it would give it the two it needed in a manner that wasn't just super lengthy and not costly, but like slowed down production rate. Let's see. So these guys are making the vests. Then we jump on over to here. These two units here are both making the backpacks. And as you can see here, I kind of made it so the plastic's getting split even further because this one was a real issue. If I had it set up like this, like the way the vests are set up, the plastic here would be super high. So I went ahead and split it 3 times. One of those times it's going into, or I guess 4 times. One of those times it's going into a bin to be recycled. That keeps the plastic here down. And the reason I did that is because I didn't want to have machines with just this massive amount of plastic buildup in them, and then down the line somewhere else where I need plastic, I don't have plastic coming in because all the plastic is just building up there and the dispenser's just spitting it out, and then I'm getting a crazy buildup on a part of line somewhere that I don't need it. So that's why I did it like that. I think that makes it a bit more efficient. I could be wrong. Maybe somebody out there has like a super design that makes this 10 times more efficient. In which case, kudos. I tried doing all this just on my own here. I didn't want to look up schematics or anything like that. There probably is something out there. I don't know. So we move on from the backpack line. Yeah. So backpack line. And then we go over here, we have 3 boot setups. The reason I have 3 of these boot setups is because one of these, I believe, only makes... trying to go off the top of my head here. I think it only makes 150-ish, maybe 200 boots every 5 minutes. And they're kind of small. I mean, they're not super massive. So I just went ahead and crammed 3 of them in. I do still have a little bit of room back this way, but I really don't think I can cram another like actual layout of stuff here. So I just left it be. So our boot setup is this. It goes from a dispenser that's dispensing the boots into a sewing unit, a zipping unit. That zipping unit goes into a splitter. That splitter is then fed directly into or conveyored over to one merger. And then the other track on the splitter feeds through a over-under conveyor layout thingy. I don't know what those are called. Over-unders, I guess. And then that is then conveyed over to another merger. And kind of the same thing for the plastic. The plastic, or the boot sole rather. The boot sole comes out, goes into a splitter, comes down, goes over the other track into that merger, and then continues on this track here into that merger. So that is everything. I will put up either on the video itself, or I'll put it all down in the description down below, the entire breakdown, because I think I needed, with this boot setup here, in order to make the 1800, I needed like 12 of these groupings of setups here to utilize all the boot soles that I'm making. I needed like 8 or 12 of these things as well. I needed a lot of these setups to utilize all the material that I'm making. And the way the game is now, I'm going to have to open another factory for sure if I want to actually utilize all that stuff. If I don't, then I can just go ahead and let it build up. And then when I run out of material, I don't have to actually buy any more material right away, because the buildup of excess material will last me another 1,000, 2,000 products before I actually have to buy anything to get my thingy back up and running. Okay, I have a real bad issue there. Okay, let's go ahead and I'm still not sure if doing other countries here has any like negative effect on these things. I'm honestly not sure. But we can turn in all these. Oh, I should have looked at what we had. Well, we went up 129,000, so we're sitting at 723. Can't turn that in for some reason. There we go. We're gonna hit 1 million. We're over 1 million. Can't turn that in again. I don't know why it does that every now and again. It just like freaks out and you can't turn it in. Okay, so that's that. Let's go ahead and vacuum up our excess boxes there. Do we have any boxes on the floor over here? Oh my goodness, we do. Okay, vacuum you up, please. We have anywhere else that's causing an issue? Not that I see. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn in the rest of those. I feel like we almost went up 1 million. I think we were at like 500,000, maybe 600,000 when we started that little turn in there. But yeah, if you just keep your production up, or your products coming in, and you just have enough storage for all your stuff, and you just let it run, you make a good amount of cash here. So anyways, so that's the pretty much all the production line, right? And then we move down here to the final little setup that we have set up here. So what I have here is these 6 dispensers. These ones on the top and bottom. These 3 up and top. Woo! Forgot to speak there. They output boot. They output the boot into a zipper or a sewer. They output the boot into a sewer, and then those get output into a single one up on a incline one, dropped onto the main line, so we don't have stuff falling off. Every now and again we do, but it's not really that much of an issue. So those guys are outputting boots, and then over here we have 3 that are outputting vests, and we have 3 that are outputting backpacks. What I went ahead and did is I have one doing backpack vest, and same thing on this side, so there's not both backpacks coming in. I was having it so if I did have 2 backpacks coming in, they'd get stuck because they're the same size, and then they just sit there until more stuff came in, landed on top, and like jiggled it loose. So I split it up like that. I don't seem to have that much of an issue anymore. Every now and again it kind of hiccups, like it's doing now, but it's not coming to a stop and just sitting there until something else comes down the line. If you kind of get what I mean. And then those go, the whole end of line comes down this line, goes into a splitter. That splitter is then split into 2 boxing units, and these boxing units output pretty much just as they get them. It's not super fast in the sense of that, like, as soon as it outputs a box, it has another box coming out, but it's enough that I don't have a buildup of boxes in the machine itself. So that was kind of my goal there. I didn't want to have 30 boxes built up in the machine, and it's just getting so much material in that it couldn't keep up. So that is the entire factory, basically. Now, if you want to go into the material costs and stuff like that, like I said before, I built this all out previously when I tested this, I built this all out in a normal factory, so I didn't have any of the benefits that the fabric factory gives you, like all the discounts and stuff. So I had more than I needed, and then I built it all into here, and then I realized I didn't actually need it. Yeah, I needed, with this current setup, I only need 4,022 energy, which is not terrible. In the original factory, I think I needed like 6,000 or something crazy to run it. But all the discounts come in handy. What I also went ahead and did was, I realized that they only needed a half track. The workers only need a half track of space to get around. So what I went ahead and did, I used all the half tracks as measuring tools. So I built in, these guys are basically 1 conveyor long. The power units and the boxing units are just double conveyors. But I went ahead and laid down some conveyor units, right, to save some money. And you can kind of measure your stuff out that way. Is kind of how I did it. So I had a conveyor belt, a big conveyor belt going vertically, and then I had a little conveyor belt coming off of that, and that was my walkway. So I went ahead and laid a walkway all the way around the area here, and that was pretty much how I spaced everything out. When I went ahead and laid these guys in, I just put a conveyor belt here, here, and here, and then I centered it up And so like the sides here are a little bit bigger than one conveyor, a little half conveyor, but I'm fine with that. There's really not much else I can do in this factory, space wise. I can cram some more storage units down, and that's about it. As far as putting down more makers, it's really not much else I can put down. This is really the only open area left. There's a little bit here, but it's nowhere near big enough to put any of these setups that I have. Same with this area here. This area here, if I move this guy, it's still not enough. And then the same goes for the machines. Like, you only need a half little conveyor belt to reach, from what I've seen. I've not had any issues except for here. On these two mergers, I had my workstations right up against them, and so there was a half conveyor reachable here. But the workers just did not want to touch these machines. So I had to move them, and that's the only hiccup I've had in this setup. Other than not paying attention and having a real big backlog of stuff build up and having boxes all over the place, that's pretty much the only hiccup I've had. So yeah, I mean, it's efficient in terms of not having a crazy amount of build up in the machines. But I mean, it turns out a decent amount of money. So I will eventually buy another company or buy another factory and build out the rest of the machines that I need. But until that time, I think that's going to go ahead and be it for this episode. Again, all the numbers will either be on screen or they'll be down below, in the description down below, for the output and stuff of the machines that I have. Maybe, like I said, maybe there is another schematic or something out there that are more efficient. But as of right now, this is as efficient as I can get it. Having it split several times or not having it split, and yeah. So I think that's gonna go ahead and be it. This might also be the last episode in this series. I don't really want to. Like, this is pretty convoluted just for the clothing setup, and it only gets worse from here, to be honest. Like, these things, the ammo, the explosives, the chemicals, and the firearms, they all make you more money, right? But it's just more and more convoluted the further in you get. So, for instance, if you're making gunpowder, you need like two splits into, or you need two dispensers into one, what's it called? Like a chemical manufacturing thing. And then I tried going down that line, and just for a little bit of fourth wall breaking, if you have it, this setup here took me a week and a half to make and settle on being the way it is. I wanted something efficient. I wanted something that would produce a lot in quantity, but it took forever to settle on and to make. And then I don't know. It would be nice if maybe there's a way to make like a custom toolbar while you're building, because having to open this thing to pick out conveyor belts, to then go over here to lay down the machines, to go back over here to get the dispensers, to go back over here to get whatever you need from the heating and cooling, and then so on and so forth. It's I don't know. It's annoying. The one thing I do like about this is this function, right? It tells you right here, Control Alt or Alt right click and whatever. So if you do that, you can copy and paste your recipes to all the machines you need to do it to. That is the best feature about this game at the moment. The fact that if they ever add an ability to where you can either speed these dispensers up or in some way control the output speeds or do something, right? I understand that this is an alpha or a beta. Is it an alpha? It's an alpha, right? That it's got a lot of work, or a lot of room to grow, and a lot of stuff it can do, because it's still an early game. It's just the output speeds and the crafting speeds are different for everything, so you can have just an abundance of material build up in a machine because the dispenser's spitting them out so fast, but the machine is making them so slow, and then that slowness is also added into its output speed, which I don't get. I feel like all the machines should have the same output speed. Maybe the crafting speeds can be different, but if you're going to have something take 5 seconds to craft, why is it also going to take 5 seconds to output? Should it not take 5 seconds to craft and then a second to go from the crafting unit to the output unit? Like some I don't know. Like I said, yeah, this was super convoluted. At the end of the day, though, I'm happy with it. I'm glad that I took the time to set this up. It took a lot of patience. I'll be honest. A lot of the time, I was just sitting here not doing anything, just trying to figure it out. And yeah, it is what it is. I'm happy with the setup. I'm glad about it. The material and whatever have you is fine. But I'm just gonna keep rambling here, and I don't want to do that. So I think this might be the end of it for me. Until maybe another big update or something. Maybe something that changes the outputs or something. But anyways, yeah, that's gonna go ahead and be it for me as always. Hope you guys enjoyed as always, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.